Let's talk about one of the most dramatic dances you'll ever see, the Paso Doble. You've probably seen its sharp, powerful moves, but what you might not know is that there's a whole story hiding inside it. A story of tradition, drama, and a history that's way more international than you'd think. Because at its heart, this isn't just a dance, it's basically a bullfight on the dance floor. So you have the man who plays the matador, commanding the ring with this incredible pride. But the follower, her role is way more versatile. And it's her role, plus the dance's totally unexpected history, that we're going to dive into right now.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get into the story the dance tells. Then, we'll uncover a pretty wild French connection. After that, we'll look at the technique that gives it that unique, proud look. And finally, we'll talk about the music that brings it all to life.
Okay, first up, Section 1. Let's get right to the core of it all. Who are the characters in this story, and what exactly are they doing in the ring?
The roles here are really fascinating. The man, he's always the matador. Easy enough, but the follower's part is incredibly cool and versatile. Most of the time, she's the swirling, flowing cape, the capa, that the matador uses. But depending on the dance, she can also become a passionate flamenco dancer or even embody the bull itself. Now, here's the key thing that a lot of people get wrong. She never only represents the bull. Her role is way more fluid and artistic than that.
On to Section 2, and get ready for a bit of a twist. We think of the Paso Doble as being 100% Spanish, right? Well, its real history is actually this amazing fusion of cultures.
And that brings us to this really interesting puzzle. The name Paso Doble is Spanish for two-step. Totally makes sense. So why do so many of the key dance steps have French names? How did a dance that's all about a Spanish bullfight end up with such a strong French accent?
Well, the story actually starts back in the 18th century, not in a ballroom, but on a military parade ground. Both the French and Spanish armies used this super-fast march called the Paso Doble. By the 19th century, that dramatic music made its way into Spanish bullfights. But the real game changer happened in the 1920s and 30s, when the dance became this huge hit in the high society ballrooms of Paris. That's where it was all formalized, and that's where all those steps got their French names.
And you know, a huge amount of credit for this dance going global belongs to one incredible man, Monsieur Pierre. He was this massively influential dancer who helped popularize Latin dances all over the world. And what's just amazing about his story is that he did all of this after being blinded in an accident as a young man. His passion is really what brought this dance to the world stage.
Okay, Section 3. So we know the story and the history. But how do dancers actually create that proud, almost arrogant character of the matador? Well, it all starts with the posture.
This quote just nails the feeling, doesn't it? This is not a relaxed posture. It is a statement. Dancers have to create this image of total power and control. You've got that pulled-up torso, the head held high, and that very distinct arched back. Just like a matador walking into the ring, it's pure theater.
And getting that look really boils down to three key things. First, you lift everything up through your core. Second, you shift your weight forward onto the balls of your feet. And third, this is crucial, you create a slight twist in your body so your hips and shoulders aren't quite lined up. That's what gives you that powerful diagonal line.
These are the details that really set the Paso Doble apart. It's a progressive dance, so it travels across the floor like a march. The footwork is sharp, almost staccato. And here's a big one for any dancers out there. There is absolutely no Cuban hip motion. None. Unlike a rumba or a cha-cha, your torso stays proud and still. And then you top it all off with this arrogant, serious expression to really sell the intensity of the bullfight.
One of the most iconic moves is the appel. Now, it looks like a stomp, but its job isn't to make a loud noise. It's a sharp, controlled move, where the matador strikes the ground to get the bull's attention. So the technique isn't about stamping hard, it's about dropping your body weight onto the foot to create this really powerful, stable base to move from.
You know, because it's so dramatic, people sometimes confuse the paso with the tango, but honestly, they are worlds apart. The paso tells the story of a bullfight with sharp marching movements and that proud, still posture. Tango, on the other hand, is a story of seduction. It's all about smooth, gliding steps and an intimate connection. The stories and the techniques are just fundamentally different.
All right, on to our final section. Let's talk about the music that drives this whole performance and where the dance fits into the world today.
I can almost guarantee that if you've ever heard Paso Doble music, you've heard this song, España Cañi. It's not just a piece of music, it's the universal anthem for this dance. Its structure is so connected to the choreography that pretty much every competitive routine is built specifically around its powerful rhythms and dramatic moments.
The music is basically a script for the dancers. It's got that simple 1-2 military march, but then it's broken up by 2 or 3 huge dramatic musical highlights or crashes. Choreographers build their entire routines to hit those moments. When that musical crash comes, the dancers strike a powerful, dramatic pose or pull off a big trick, and they hold it right until the music kicks back in.
So where are people doing the Paso Doble today? Well, as you can see here, it's overwhelmingly a competitive dance. It really dominates on the international circuit. But it's a huge mistake to think it's only for competition. In places like Spain, France, Vietnam, and Germany, people still love to dance it socially.
When you really look at it, the Paso Doble is a true triple threat. It's an incredible athletic performance, it's a powerful piece of cultural storytelling, and it's a highly demanding form of competitive art all rolled into one amazing dramatic package.
I just love this quote because it sums up the whole dynamic perfectly. You have the man, who's the calm center of the storm, while the cape, the follower, is this explosion of movement all around him. That contrast between the stillness and the action, that's what makes the Paso Doble so incredibly cool to watch.
So that leaves us with one last question. How should we think about the Paso Doble? Is it a piece of living history, a demanding athletic sport, or is it a pure, passionate art form? The answer, of course, is that it's all three at once, and that is exactly what makes it one of the most unforgettable dances you'll ever see on the floor.